আসসালামু আলাইকুম। আসন্ন প্রাইমারি সহকারী শিক্ষক নিয়োগ পরীক্ষার জন্য ইংলিশ সাহিত্য থেকে কিছু গুরুত্বপূর্ণ প্রশ্ন, বিগত প্রশ্ন, বিসিএস এর এবং অন্যান্য পরীক্ষায় আসা বিভিন্ন প্রশ্ন এখানে সংযুক্ত রয়েছে, যেগুলো আসন্ন সহকারী শিক্ষক নিয়োগ পরীক্ষার জন্য খুবই গুরুত্বপূর্ণ। For God's sake, hold your tongue and let me love. This line is taken from the poem The Canonization, the one-act play Readers to the Sea was written by J.M. Synge or John Millington. Neither a borrower nor a lender be, for loan oft loses both itself and friend. This extract is taken from Shakespeare's play Hamlet. Who composed the elegiac poem Theseus? Matthew Arnold. Who is the writer of the famous essay Tradition and the Individual Talent? T.S. Eliot. Our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thought. This oft quoted line occurs in Shelley's notable poem To a Skylark. Who authored the futuristic novel Brave New World? Aldous Leonard Huxley. God friends make good neighbors. The line was written by Robert Frost. Cowards did many times before their deaths. The valiant never taste of death but once. Julius Caesar. Knowledge comes, but wisdom lingers. This quote is extracted from Tennyson's poem titled Locksley Hall. The tragedy Samson Agonis was penned by John Milton. It's strange but true, for truth is always strange, stranger than fiction. This quote is taken from a poem of Lord Byron, who wrote the novella Heart of Darkness. Joseph Conrad, who was the writer of the autobiographical as well as political essay Shooting an Elephant. George Orwell. Paradise Lost attempt to justify the ways of God to man. Sweet are the uses of adversity is quoted from Shakespeare's As You Like It. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is here no more. These memorable lines in Shakespearean tragedy are spoken by Macbeth. The poetic drama Murder in the Cathedral was written by T.S. Eliot. Caliban is an important character from Shakespeare's The Tempest. Who wrote the short history The Ant and the Grasshopper? W. Somerset Maugham. Caesar and Cleopatra is a play by Bernard Shaw. What was the what kind of play is Julius Caesar? Historical. William Shakespeare was born in 1564. Ulysses is a novel written by James Joyce, who wrote the poem The Good Morrow. John Drone. Where are the songs of spring? A. Where are they? Think not of them, thou hast the music too. Who wrote this? John Keats. To be or not to be, that is the question, is a famous soliloquy from Hamlet. Who is the author of Man and Superman? J.B. Shaw. The most famous satirist in English literature is Jonathan Swift. Jacobean period English literature refers to 1603 থেকে 1625. Of the following authors who wrote an epic? John Milton. Who is not a Victorian poet? Alexander Pope. Which period is known as the golden age of English literature? The Elizabethan age. Johnson is a poet by T.S. Eliot. Fill in the blank dash is Shakespeare's last play. Tempest. P.B. Shelley's Adonais is an elegy on the death of John Keats. Restoration period in English literature refers to 1660. What is the funny poem of 5 lines called? Limerick. Shakespeare's measures are measure is a successful comedy. The poem The Solitary Reaper, written by W. Wordsworth. The Merchant of Venice is a Shakespearean play about a Jew. The play Candida is by G.B. Shaw. London town is found a living being in the works of Charles Dickens, who is known as the poet of nature in English literature. William Wordsworth. A Passage to India is written by E.M. Foster. Gitanjali of Rabindranath Tagore was translated by J.B. Yeats. Child is the father of man is taken from the poem of W. Wordsworth. Man is political animal. Who said this? Aristotle. The play Arms and the Man is by George Bernard Shaw. Othello is a Shakespeare's play, but Othello is a Shakespeare's play about a Moor. Find the odd mean out. George Eliot. Who wrote the following lines? All at the once I show or crowd a host of golden daffodils. Wordsworth. Who wrote the two famous novels David Copperfield and The Tale of Two Cities? Charles Dickens. Who wrote first English dictionary? Samuel Johnson. Animal Farm was written by George Orwell. Shakespeare is known mostly for his plays. Who is the author of India Wins Freedom? Abul Kalam Azad. The book Treasure Island is by Stevenson. Who was the youngest of the Romantic poets? Keats. The most famous satirist in English literature is Jonathan Swift. Shakespeare is known mostly for his plays. Pride and Prejudice is a novel. Who is the modern philosopher who was awarded Nobel Prize for Literature? Bertrand Russell. Shakespeare is known mostly for his drama. A Voyage to Lilliput is written by Jonathan Swift. Paradise Lost attempted to justify the ways of God to man. A book Man and Superman is written by Bernard Shaw. Who wrote Beauty is Truth? Truth, Beauty. Kids. Who wrote the book A Tale of Two Cities? Charles Dickens. Pride and Prejudice পুস্তকটির রচয়িতা কে? John Austen. Who is the modern philosopher who was awarded Nobel Prize for Literature? Bertrand Russell. Alexander Pope's essay on man is a poem. Oh, lift me as a wave, a leaf, a cloud. I fall upon the thorns of life. I bleed. The extract is taken from P.B. Shelley's poem Ode to the West Wind. Dash was both a poet and a painter. William Blake. The short story The Diamond Necklace was written by Guy de Maupassant. Words in a name, that which we call a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Who said this? Juliet. All the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this title hand. Who said this? Lady Macbeth. A Christmas Carol is a short novel by Charles Dickens. The literary term euphemism means inoffensive expression. Shakespeare composed much of his plays in what? Short and verse. Iambic pentameter. The Romantic age in English literature began with the publication of preface to lyrical ballads. Which of the following writers belongs to the Romantic period in English literature? S.T. Coleridge. The climax of the plot is what happens at the height. A fantasy is an imaginary story. Who is not a Victorian poet? William Wordsworth. Which of the following novels was written by George Orwell? 1984. I can't put up with him anymore. To tolerate. The poem to his coy mistress was written by Andrew Marvell. The character Elizabeth Bennet appears in the novel Pride and Prejudice. Don Juan was composed by George Gordon Byron. Black Death is the name of a plague pandemic. Ulysses is a poem written by Alfred Tennyson. Who wrote the poem Ozymandias? P.B. Shelley. Grim Hubert is a protagonist of the novel The Return of the Native.